Next we will discuss about generics. This is the last topic in this unit. So generics are very important for us whenever you are going to be appear any competitive exams. Usually the Java like EPAM test, they'll give the code based on this generic representation, and we need to identify the solutions for that. Some sample code will be given in the form of generics, and we need to identify the solution, and we need to compile and run that particular things. So generics are the things which is whenever you want to build any application or a class that is not meant for a particular single data type, it has to be added as flexible that the particular class will be able to what you can say will be able to run for different data types. It is in a position to accept integer, and it is a position to accept strings or characters or double and so on. So we need to build in such manner. So there is a facility added in generics. It is introduced by JDK 5 onwards, and usually it gave two important things for this. First is it added a new syntactical element to the language. So the new syntax is going to be added to the language. So you are representing the generics within angular brackets. The second one is it caused changes to many of the classes and methods in the core API. So we will see how the changes are going to be takes place whenever you are writing or defining a class or a method. So you take a simple example where we go for these generics. So take a simple example of stack. Whenever you are building a stack, usually the stack will have certain representation or certain things to store using, it may be of type integer or string or any other means. But whenever you build a stack of strings, it accepts only strings. Whenever you build any integer stack of type integer, it accepts only integers. So with the generics, you can define an algorithm once independently of any specific type of data, and then apply that algorithm to a wide variety of data types without any additional effort. Means the same stack whatever you build by means of generic, it is in a position to accept integer if you pass the integer values, or it works for the string when you pass the string values. So we will see how it appears and how it works. Perhaps significantly affected by the generics is the collections framework. We will see collection frameworks later uh, in the Java API. Usually a collection is a group of objects. The collection framework defines several classes such as lists, maps and so on. So that manages collection, group of information. So the collection classes have always been able to work with objects. So with the benefit of generics, to add by means of these collection classes can now be used with complete type safety. So whatever the information you are going to add, it is of safety in the form of type, data type. To provide a powerful new language element, generic also enable an existing feature to be substantially improved. We will see a simple example of how it appears, and why generics represents such as an important addition to the Java. We will see one by one later. It is added in JDK 5 and words, and the source code using generics cannot be compiled with the earlier versions. So we need to update versions required for these generics, and these are almost similar to C++ templates but not the same. So in C++ we are having a concept of templates. It is almost similar to the generics, but these are somehow differ and having different representation here. So next is what exactly is generics. The term generic means parameterized types. Means parameter types are important because they are able to enable you to create classes, interfaces, methods in which the type of data upon which they operate is specified as parameter. So whenever you are defining a class, class is of type, what type of parameter or what type of data it is able to handle. Such things we can pass to the class, or if you want to maintain a method, so we need to pass to the method and so on. So the class itself behaves based on the data type or based on the object of type you supplied as a parameter to the class. And using generics, it is possible to create a single class that automatically works with different data types. This is what exactly the generics. So you are defining only one class. The class will work for integer, the class will work for float, the class will work for double, strings, and so on. A class interface or method that operates on a parameterized type is called generic, as in generic class or generic method. Generics add the type safety. So we'll see what exactly the type safety and all. Think that we define the advantages of we'll see advantages of Java generic. The first one is type safety. You can hold only a single type of objects in generics. So whenever you supplied any parameter to the class, that particular class will be able to work for that particular data type only. It never go for the mixed data types. So in green color I represented without generics. So I define one list. It is defined as array list, and we can add number 10, a numerical value or integer value, and it is going to be added to the list. And whenever you add a string like 10 within double quotes, it is also going to be added to the list. But coming to generics, it is not possible. So here we define list and followed by the angular bracket. Within the angular bracket you are representing integer. So now this list behaves will accept only integer values equal to new array list, and you are providing the type data type integer. So usually the generics will work on objects only. So we need to represent a wrapper class integer for this, and the list you are adding a value 10, that is going to be added. Why? Because 10 is of type integer, so happily it accepts the value and stores inside a list. And whenever you go for adding the same number within double quotes, the system will give you compile time error. So rather than getting runtime error, compile time errors are more benefit for us to rectify the code. So like that we can maintain the type safety for these classes using generics. The next one is having typecasting is not required in this case. So whenever you define any cast, any type of object, and the generics never allow to go for typecasting. Why? Because all are defined, all are working with the same type. So you take the first example without generics. You are defining one list of array list, and you are adding a value hello like that, and it is going to be stored inside the list. It is a collection framework, and whenever you want to retrieve the value from a list by using get method, we need to typecast the value by means of a string. So here it is maintaining a string value though, but you will need to convert that value into string form and assign to local variable string s. It is required without using generics. So whenever you are using the generics and you are maintaining a list in the form of a string wrapper object, wrapper class here, and we are creating memory for list with new operator, and it takes array list of string type. And whenever you add an element hello like that to the list, and we can easily assign without any typecast, and you can directly add it the list dot get of first element 0 to string s variable. So these generics never need any typecast. Why? Because these generics will have a particular type, and all that particular information will be work around that particular data type. So next one is compile time checking. So in the beginning we discussed that it is a type safe, and whatever the errors occurred, those errors will be checked in at the time of compile time. So compile time errors are more simpler than runtime errors. So take a simple example here. You are defining one list of string, what you can say generic, and the list is accepting only string values, and you are supposed to add any numerical value to this list by using add method. The system will generate a compile time error, and we can rectify those errors without running the application. It never allowed to run the application. And we'll see a simple example how this generics will work. You are defining a class here, class test, and you are representing within angular bracket a T, capital T. So T is a data type here, the generic type, and inside class I define T followed by obj. So obj here it is an object of type T. So T may be of integer, may be of character, may be of float, whatever the type, it will be decided at runtime. So that the same type we are going to be maintain one object with the name of T, and one constructor defined here T followed by obj, and it accepts one another parameter of type T, and you are assigning obj to this dot obj. So here this is representing the currently invoked object, that object equal to your supplied object T object, that is the external passing object obj will be assigned to the local object by means of this dot obj equal to obj. And we define one more method here, public T followed by get object. So get object is a method which will return data type of T type, and having only one statement, return this dot obj. This is a simple class which is a generic one which accepts a T type. So T here it is decided by the main method, or what the object are going to be created, and based on that wrapper method, wrapper objects, the class is going to be defined based on. So we will see how it is. Come to the main class, and inside main method you are defining one object for test. So you are creating one instance for test class, test followed by, we need to represent what type of data you are supposed to maintain in this class. So in the first case I define integer. So I represented within the angular bracket as integer. So here integer is a wrapper class which represents integer values. I define in iobj equal to new test integer and followed by 15. So now you are invoking, you are passing 15 to the constructor test. So that 15 is going to be handed to the T obj. Now 15 is going to be converted into object form. Implicitly it is converted into object form and assigned to obj. That obj is going to be assigned to this dot obj. So this is done automatically in the proper classes, and you are printing the values on the screen by means of println iobj dot get object. So we are getting the object method, and that object method will return this dot obj, that is the value 15 in the form of object. That object is going to be handed out to the println statement, and it is implicitly converted into numerical form and shows the value on the screen. Next I created one more instance for test class, but here in the second time I just, instead of passing integer value, I am making the same class of type string type, and here I supplied a parameter RCW. Now RCW is going to be handed out to the constructor T obj, and you are assigning obj to this dot obj, and whenever you are printing the value is obj dot get object, that get object method is going to be written the object of T obj, that is going to be written here. That value is going to be shown on the screen by means of println statement. So here you are passing a string to string object, integer to integer object, and the return statement return the object into string form. So here the values, the same class is going to be work for integer as well as string, and it works fine for the same, and it shows the values on the screen. And compilation with the JAVAC and run the application by means of JAVA, and we will get the values, one first instance for integer and second instance for string representation. Only one class test which is working for integers and also working for strings. This is the main advantage of using generic classes. I hope everyone should understood this one. And we are having one more example, and please go through this one, and the same represented in the form of gen and one class, and followed by some more definitions by means of main method, and repeatedly one for numerical value and another for string value. Please go through the same. Generics work only with objects. So in the beginning I said, so generic classes or methods will work only with objects. So whatever the values, whatever the primitive data types you are supposed to maintain, we need to convert into object form, wrapper classes, and assign to this generic classes. So usually test followed by the data type in generic wrapper form, and followed by the object equal to new class name followed by the data type in wrapper form and mention the value. Generic types differ based on their type. So we can't assign first object to second object like that. So OB1 may be of integer type and OB2 of maybe string type. So we can't assign one object to another object, which is usually happens in previous cases. One object can be assigned to another object just like a numerical values, but here it is not the case. Why? Because the object of one first object may be of different data types and second object may be of different data types. So we can't assign directly one to another. Generics improve type safety. Already we come across how the system will maintain the type safety. Why? Because there is a difference between one type to another type. So whenever you define any class and pass the parameter integer or a string, that entire object will work for that particular type only. Next one is generic class with two type parameters. One more example here. It is not issue to pass only one parameter to the class. We can pass two parameters. The two different data types you can pass to the class, and that particular class behave two different generic types. To specify two or more type parameter, we use comma between them. So we'll see a simple example. So I define a class with the name of the same program, previous program, but here I define a class with the name of test, and test going to be accept two parameters t comma u. So t is of one data type and u is of another data type. So I define two objects for t and u, t ob1 and u ob1. These two are different data types. Imagine the t may be of integer and u may be of float. T may be of character, u may be of string. Like that. These two are individuals. And I'm having a constructor with the name of test and t ob1 comma u ob2 like that. I can assign the values to local objects. This dot ob1 equal to ob1, this dot ob2 equal to ob2. So this dot ob1 means which is internally supplied object, and ob1 which is externally supplied. The externally supplied object is going to be assigned to internally supplied object. So internal or current objects are going to be referred by this operator. And the next is a simple print method. Inside print method I define two println statements, which is going to be shown the values on the screen. And come to the main method. So inside main method I define first object for test class ob1. So here I am supplying two parameters for test class. First one is a string and second one is integer. Now test is going to be able to communicate with two data types like string and integer. String is going to be assigned to t and integer is going to be assigned to u. I created one instance with a new operator and I supplied the string value as RCW and the integer value as 15. And I call the print statement by means of ob1 object. Now system will show the values on the screen like ob1 value and ob2 value. ob1 value is RCW, it is of string type, and ob2 value is of type integer. So 15 will be shown on the screen. So next I created one more instance for test class. The first parameter is double and second parameter is character. So immediately I am just varying my parameters to double and character. So double I just value like 15.123 and character is of type em, and I just call the print method with the ob object 2. Now it shows the ob1 value and ob2 value on the screen like 15.123 and it is of type double, and the character value m is on the screen. So here we can pass two parameters to the class like t comma u. Two different data types are going to be handed out to the class. For first object I am supplying string and integer, and for the second object I am supplying double and character. So this is the way we can handle a single class for different purposes. This is about the generics. So the general form of generic class is the syntax. So whenever you are defining a class of type generic, class followed by the class name, and within the curly braces, within the angle braces, you mention the type parameter list. If you are supplying one parameter, or two parameters, or three parameters, by separating comma between them. And the syntax for declaring a reference to a generic class. So how we are going to be create a reference? So we can have a instance for that particular class, mention the class name and followed by the argument type argument list, and followed by the variable name, and equal to new class name, and mention the parameter list, and followed by the constant argument list. This is the way you can go for creating an instance to the class along with the generic data types. So next one is a simple definition of bounded types. The only thing here it is not necessary to pass the parameters of any type to the class. Think that the class is going to accept type T, and you can pass any data type, like it may be of integer, it may be of character or a float or any other things. Everything is going to be accepted. But the case here it is, instead of passing any type, we are going to be restrict to certain data types. So we are limiting the data types to certain extent that can be passed to a type parameter. So why? Because say for example you are finding some average. So usually we need to take certain values, like it may be of type integer, it may be a float, it may be double. So those we can happily find the average of certain things. But for the same class, instead of passing these numerical values, if you pass a string value or a character value, it won't doesn't mean. So if you pass two strings, you can't find the average of two strings and all. So at the time we are going to be restrict the operation or restrict the parameter list to certain extents. So such things possible by means of these bound types. So Java provides the bounded types. You are representing the bounded type by means of extends keyword. So you within angle bracket you are representing the data type T, but here we are adding a keyword extends and followed by the superclass. So what type of information which is going to be accept the T instead of accepting all the data types. So here we are extending the superclass. Say for example the superclass, the T can only be replaced by the superclass or its subclasses of the superclass, but it never go for accepting any other information. So here we are having certain restriction that you are just maintaining certain information, certain classes related to that superclass of the subclasses. See a simple example. We will see how it. Here you are defining a class stats, and you are defining one data type T extends number. So here number is a class which is going to be maintained like integer, character, floats, doubles and all. All the numeric things are going to be represented by means of number superclass. Here I am defining one array with the name of T and open and close square brackets and followed by nums. It is array of number or subclasses. Pass the constructor a reference to an array of type number or subclasses. So T is an array here. It can accept the number class or subclasses of number class to maintain an array of numbers. And one constructor here defined T, it receives one reference O, and you are assigning O to nums. So when you are passing a value O, object O to T array type, and which is going to be assigned to nums of array type, the same data type. And you are having one method with the name of average, and define a double sum equal to 0.0 and find the sum of all the integers and finding the average. For I equal to 0, I less than the length of array, and I plus plus, the length is going to be measured by means of array name dot length. How many elements there, that length is going to be given by this length. And finding sum equal to sum plus num of I dot double value. So here you are retrieving the value of type say for example double, so you are retrieving the values of type double by means of array elements. That value is going to be added to the sum and every time, and it gives the final sum of all the elements. And finally we can return sum by nums dot length. So here you are finding the average of that particular things. So that value is going to be written. Here the return function is of type double. Return type is of type double. So don't confuse here. You are restricting our application to number class type of type integers or doubles or floats only will be accepted here, and you are finally converting the values into double form, and you are finding the sum, and finally you are finding the average and return the average value by means of this average method. And inside main method, so you are defining integers, integer nums of 1 2 3 4 5, and you are creating instance for strands of type integer, the generic type of integer, and you are creating strands integer, and you are passing inums. So here inums is an array which is going to be handed over to the constructor T of O. Now T is going to be referred object of inums, so which is passed from the main method, and you are going to be received in the form of O. That O is going to be assigned to local array T of nums. Now nums is an array which is defined inside the class stand, that is going to be assigned the object O. Come back to the main method, and I define I just created one instance IOB of type integer, generic type is of type integer, and it returns an array value. That value array values are going to be assigned to the constructor, and you are having double v, one local variable, and you are getting the value IOB dot average. So average method is going to be called, find the sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, and find the average. That average is converted into double form. That value is going to be handed over to this variable v. That variable v value is going to be shown on the screen, like integer IOB average is the value is going to be shown on the screen. The same thing done by means of one more data type with double. So I define one more array double dnums equal to 1.1, 2.2, 3.3, 4.4, 5.5, like that. So I define 5 elements here of type double. I just created one more instance dob, and I am passing the value dnums. Here the array is of type double, that is going to be handed out to the constructor. The constructor is going to be assigned to the local object O, and you are calling the average method. So here you are invoking the average for double. So you are retrieving the values from an array from the loop by means of loop, and retrieving all the elements, and find the sum of 1.1 plus 2.2 plus 3.3 plus 4.4 plus 5.5, and the value whatever the sum we obtained, that sum is going to be find by 5, and you will get the average. That average is going to be handed over back to the W. Now W is going to be shown on the screen. Its value is 3.3. So this is a way we can have certain restrictions there. So if you go for assigning any array of type other than these numbers, the system will generate a compile time error. It is restricted to integer forms only, or number class forms only. And some more extension for this, in addition to using a class type as a bound, you can also use an interfaces. We can specify multiple interfaces as bounds, and we can have a bound can include both a class and interface. In that particular situation, class should be the first and followed by the interfaces. So it is a combination of, you can have a class, or you can have interface, or you can have both class and interface. In that situation, we need to represent the class as the first and followed by an interface. So whenever you go for mixing or combining a class and interface, at the time we need to use ampersand operator. So here a simple example which is represented in red color. Class, I define class with the name of gen. The gen will take one xt, the generic type t extends to one class and one interface. here T bounded by a class called myClass and an interface called myInterface. Thus any type argument passed T must be a subclass of myClass and implement myInterface. So like that. So here we are restricting the T values to myClass as well as myInterface. So some more example we will see later one by one, and this is all about certain information, and I am expecting all you please